Okay. Is this on? All right, is this, yeah, it's turned on. So it's 3 o'clock, and we will get started. We have a quorum, although Councilmember Weatherby is running a moment late, so he will be coming in and joining us in a couple of minutes, but we'll go ahead and get started since it's 3 o'clock. As we always do, we're going to start this meeting with an invocation from Jean Glazer of the Lake Church, and we'll follow that with the pledges. So thank you, Pastor.
Dear Father, thank you so much for the day and for the cool mornings and the opportunity to sense the refreshment and coming of fall. Thank you so much for this creation that you have made and the opportunity for us to be pleased by it. Thank you so much, Father, for our city government, for all these people that are volunteers and staff to give their time and their dedication to the proper functioning of the city, to make this a place that we all enjoy and love. And we pray that you'll continue to give them encouragement and strength, wisdom and discernment to do these things in a way that will bring honor to you and bring honor to our community. Thank you so much for your Son and his death and the hope that we have in him. We pray through the power of your Son's name. Amen.
As promised, everybody's here. Thank you. Okay, is Fire Chief here? Or are you going to do the proclamation for Fire Prevention Week? Oh, no, there you are, Doug. I didn't see you back there. Thank you.
Sorry, just got back from a fire, but all's good.
Oh, really?
Good.
Did you put it out?
Put it out. Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Otherwise, you should still be there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, the Great Chicago Fire was a conflagration that burned in Chicago during October 8th through 10th, 1871. The fire killed approximately 300 people, destroyed roughly 3.3 square miles in the city, including 17,000 structures, and left more than 100,000 residents homeless. The fire is claimed to have been started at 8:30 p.m. on October 8th in or around a small barn belonging to the O'Leary family. The shed next to the barn was the first building to be consumed by the fire. City officials never determined the cause of the blaze, but the rapid spread of the fire due to a long drought in that year's summer, strong winds from the southwest, and the rapid destruction of the water pumping system explain the extensive damage to the mainly wooden city structures. There's been much speculation over the years on a single start of the fire, but most popular tale blames Mrs. O'Leary's cow, who allegedly knocked over a lantern. Since that time, annually, firefighters across the nation have emphasized the need for fire prevention efforts in the first week of October. The City of Horseshoe Bay's fire prevention efforts are led by Assistant Chief Stephanie Black, who diligently works with Department Development Services to ensure fire codes are followed and the message of fire safety is carried throughout our community. Please join me in thanking Chief Stephanie for her outstanding service in leading and delivering the fire prevention efforts for the City of Horseshoe Bay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there is a proclamation that for declaring the week of October 5th through the 11th as Fire Prevention Week. And this includes things like smartphones, tablets, lithium batteries, ion batteries, a number of things that can cause fires. It includes residents are responsible for public education measures and able to take personal steps to increase their fire safety. So in 2025, Fire Prevention Week theme is Charge into Fire Safety. Lithium batteries in your home serves to remind us the importance of using, charging, and recycling lithium-ion batteries safely to reduce the risk of fires in homes and communities. I know you have a great program in helping residents to understand that.
Yes, ma'am. We always try and get the word out, and the emphasis this year is making sure you use the right cord for the right product and the right charging station and within manufacturer's instructions. Those are all key.
Good. None of those didn't come with the device cords, huh?
With the device ports?
None of those that didn't come with the device.
Correct.
Yeah, well, okay,
Yes.
thank you
Thank
very
you,
much. That's my extension cord. Why would he do that? Thank you, Chief. Okay, now we
Yes,
have
so-
some people to recognize, new people and people who've been here a while. So, Jeff?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. It's a pleasure to be here today. We had one of our longtime employees left us in our utility billing, and we're very sorry to see her go. She moved up to Wisconsin, but that happens sometimes. And so we have hired a new utility billing clerk. And if I don't butcher her name, that would be amazing. But it's Michelle Krasnicki. Is that right? Oh, well, that's pretty close. Okay, Michelle previously worked 26 years with HEB, so she really knows how to deal with people in front service. And she has 2 children and is very family orientated. She loves to cook. She loves to spend time with her family in church. And so please join us with our new member of the utility billing staff. Thank
Glad to
Michelle.
have you, Michelle. It's a nice group of ladies up at the front desk, so I'm sure you'll find yourself in good company. So, thank you. Okay.
Thank you so
and-
much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Very much.
And now Chief Graham has got another presentation to make.
I'm going to stay up here too because I've known Jay for a very long time as well. This is his second life with us. He was here before, how many years before? 16 years with the police department before. And so I've known Jay for a long time, and I'll stand by his side at any time. So
Okay.
go ahead, Chief.
Mayor, Council. This is a presentation of an award commemorating Officer Jay Bauman on his 5 years of service to the city of Horseshoe Bay. Officer Bauman is celebrating 5 years of service. He joined the department in April of 2000, quickly became an investigator for the department. He served as lieutenant over the CID division, Criminal Investigative Division. Before retirement in 2016, he returned in 2020, and he's currently serving as a communications officer. Jay also assists with many open records requests and that he receives at the police department, as well as upkeeping the many computers and the networks that we have at the police department. Jay has over 28 years in law enforcement, and he holds a Master Peace Officer license. Jay and his wife Dolly live in Marble Falls and enjoy many grandchildren. So it's fair to say that Jay has also mentored lots of generations of our officers.
He's probably already got a few of those at home. Jay's the voice that you hear when you call the police department, and he's always so cheerful and so helpful, and it's great to have that voice on the other end of the phone when you call and need something at the PD. So thank you so much, Jay. Okay, public comment. So if you're here to comment on an item that's on the agenda, I will wait until we get to that stage to call on you, but there is one individual here, Bob Honors, wants to talk to us about the Richter Ranch project. Bob, I'll ask you to hold your comments to 3 minutes, please, and she's got a timer over here if you need it.
Mayor, City Council. I'm a 6.5-year resident of Horseshoe Bay and also a member of the Hill Country Trekkers Group, and here with Rick Overall to register our opposition to the Richter Ranch proposal as it stands now because of the high density of homes which would impact the current city's preserve. Mayor Thurman's August report stated that the city's survey overwhelmingly expressed the desire for more outdoor spaces. In response to this, she and the city council have proposed plans to create a new walking trails that will wind through the city and offer a peaceful place for the citizens of Horseshoe Bay to connect with. I applaud this along, I know, with all the trekkers. This is a wonderful project. I'm aware of property rights in a project like the Richter Ranch, and it's that delicate balance between what the owner wants and what's right for the community. Well, the density of this Richter Ranch project is completely opposite of what was expressed in the community survey. Wayne Hurd was a co-founder of Horseshoe Bay, and it's my understanding that before he died, he donated the stretch of land that extends from the mausoleum down to Thanksgiving Drive, and it's dedicated to have a peaceful place to connect with nature. And it's got hiking trails. In fact, one of the trails is named Wayne's Trail after our co-founder, Wayne Hurd. My question is, what would Wayne Hurd feel about this Richter Ranch project that will dot a high concentration of homes along this pristine preserve? In my opinion, the Richter Ranch development would significantly deteriorate the beauty and the serenity that we have with Wayne Hurd's preserve. And my request is don't let the Richter Ranch project mess up such a beautiful and peaceful place where people can now connect with nature. The Hill Country Trekkers are glad to meet any time with a developer to try to work out compromises.
Thank
And
you,
I
Bob.
Thank you
That-
for your attention.
Thank you. That's, we appreciate it. The trekkers are very good. They come to every council meeting, and we can't discuss what's not on the agenda, but we appreciate you coming and making your comments, so thank you. So the other comment relates to an item that's on the agenda, so we will move forward into item 7 on your schedule, council. The 2026 budget adoption and tax rate adoption section, Molly Jester. And council, please follow along with your agenda very closely, because we have to do this in a certain order, and you have to say exactly the language that is recommended in your packet, and we will take a roll call vote on some parts of this. So just be sure you pay attention and you know where we are in the packet. So, Molly.
Sure. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. There's a Texas tax code that requires cities to hold a public hearing on our tax rate. If you recall, the initial tax rate was proposed in July, and there's been
Molly,
notification.
let me stop you. Dottie, do I need to open a public hearing on this? Yeah, I would open it. Okay, let me open the public hearing at 3:14 and go ahead, Molly.
Do I start over?
It's okay.
Start over. Okay. There's a Texas tax code that requires cities to hold a public hearing on the tax rate. If you recall, the initial tax rate was proposed in July of this year, and there's been notifications of this hearing on our website and in publications. Also in July, the city has approved a proposed tax rate of .26775 per $100 of value as a maximum rate the council would approve. The staff will be recommending the same rate, as that avoids any mandated votes or petition votes to change the tax rate. That same tax rate states that this public hearing can be no more than 7 days prior to the adoption of the tax rate. Therefore, the adoption of this tax rate will follow this public hearing. Citizens have a final opportunity to bring forward any question, comments, or concerns about the tax rate. Are there any? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, I
Oh,
think you
yeah.
need to.
Rick, would you go to the podium, please? That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
You don't have to in a public
Okay,
hearing.
thank you. At the last meeting, I think you presented that the tax rate was going to stay the same as the year before? Is
Yes,
that
the previous 2 years, it's,
previous 2 years? But then, if I'm not mistaken, when you showed the budget, I believe it showed that we're going to have a deficit. Am I wrong? Is there a deficit or no? Okay, I just misunderstood your last presentation, so that was my question. Are we going into a deficit? But we're not.
oh, okay, no, that is, you must have misunderstood.
Okay,
Not only do we not have a deficit, we
That's
keep a 3.5-month balance reserve in addition to the rest of the money that we have. So no, not at all.
Excellent.
We will
Thank
get
you.
to the budget. We don't have it to display.
Yeah, the budget's
Oh, okay.
coming up
All right.
too.
Now, the first, so I need to close the public hearing, but we're not going to adopt the tax rate first, right?
Yeah, sir.
Oh, are
Oh,
there any
yeah,
other?
is there anyone else who wants to speak? Or council, do you have any questions on the tax, we're talking about the tax rate? So,
So, I guess
Go ahead,
I'm
Frank.
confused. Why can't we approve this tax rate? We have to approve the budget before the tax rate?
yeah, so we're
Who,
we're,
who decided that?
the state.
That figures, it makes no
Mother
sense
Nature.
at all.
So we're gonna, we have the public hearing. Is there anyone else who has questions on the tax rate? So I'm gonna close the public hearing at 3:17. We will vote on the tax rate, but we have to, before we vote on the tax rate, we have to vote on the budget. Just because Governor Abbott said that.
But the budget is based on the tax rate.
Correct.
Okay, that
So you thought
makes
this was gonna make
perfect
sense, Frank?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Molly. Now
Okay.
now moving forward to page 9, council.
So the proposed budget was filed with the Legislative Services Director on August 11th. We have had 2 workshops since then, July 8th and August 26th, to finalize this budget. Notifications for a public hearing were prepared, and that hearing on the budget was at the August 26th regular city council meeting. The attached budget, which should be on your agenda, is ready for adoption, and this adoption will require a roll call vote, and that's for the year 2025-26, and it's ordinance 2025-32.
Okay, and just to address Mr. Overholt's question, Molly, on page 16 of your packet, it does show that the projected budgeted ending balances, make sure I'm saying this right, for the utility fund will be 6.8 million and change, and for the general fund, it'll be 5.5 million and change. And then the lesser funds are also in the positive.
I don't have the page numbers,
well,
but I
that-
know they're both
Yeah,
positive.
that's right, okay. Okay, council members, do you have any questions for Molly on the budget that you haven't already asked and wanted to, or you even ask it again if you want? Okay, so if somebody would be willing to go to page 9 and make these motions as scripted?
I move to approve ordinance 2025-32, which will adopt the budget beginning 10/1/2025 and ending 9/30/2026 as presented by staff and amended at this meeting, including designating unassigned reserves for vehicle replacement, boat, combined facility yard, transportation, DRC permit deposits, and drainage as reflected in the budget.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Jones Is there a second? Second. Okay, I have a second from Councilmember Weatherby. Now, is there any discussion? No? Okay, will the Legislative Services Director please call roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Hosea?
Yes.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Waddell? Aye. Councilmember Weatherby?
Aye.
So the motion to approve ordinance 2025-32 to adopt the fiscal year 2025-26 budget passes with a 5-0 vote. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to item C on the agenda. Molly,
Yes. This is
page 51, council.
So for ordinance 2025-33, Chapter 26 of the Texas Tax Code requires cities in Texas to adopt a tax rate which uses specific verbiage after going through notification to citizens and a tax rate public hearing. Additionally, the public hearing required notification in publications as well as on the city website, which we have done. This ordinance reflects the tax rate again at .26775, which that is the same as the last 2 years. This tax rate is greater than the no new revenue tax rate. That means that Horseshoe Bay is proposing to increase property taxes for the 2025 tax year or our 26 fiscal year. The tax rate is not greater than the voter approval tax rate, which is y'all's rate, and not greater than the de minimis rate. As a result, the city is not required to hold an election at which voters may accept or reject this proposed tax rate. However, residents may express their support for or opposition to the proposed tax rate by contacting members of the council or attending the public hearing. The maintenance and operations portion of that rate will be .19433, and the interest and sinking portion will be .07342. Both rates are to be approved, but the legislation does not include them being approved together. The vote on the tax rate must be a record rate vote, and because the rate exceeds the no new revenue rate, must have a 60% approval. And the proposed motion must be read exactly as provided based on Tax Code 26.
Okay, on page 51, there is a scripted motion that I would like for someone to make, please.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-33. Further, I move that the property tax rate be adopted at a tax rate of .26775 per $100, comprised of an M&O rate of .19433 per $100, and an INS rate of .07342 per $100, which is effectively a 2.86% increase in the adopted tax rate from the no new revenue rate.
Thank you. Councilmember Morgan made the motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Waddell. Council, is there any discussion? Okay, I just want to make this clear. Even though it says we're increasing the tax rate, we're not. It's just required. It's the way the verbiage is required to be stated because it's higher than the no new revenue rate. It's exactly the same tax rate that we charged, that we paid last year and the year before.
Correct.
So with that clarification, Legislative Secretary, would you proceed with a roll call vote requesting aye or nay from each member?
Mayor Pro Tem Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Hosea?
Aye.
Councilmember Morgan?
Aye.
Councilmember Waddell? Aye. Councilmember Weatherby?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The motion to approve ordinance 2025-33 to adopt a tax rate for the city of Horseshoe Bay for fiscal year 2026 passes with a 5-0 vote in favor of. The motion carries. Thank you. Okay, you're not done yet.
No, one more.
Okay, ratify the property tax revenue increase reflecting the adopted annual budget for fiscal year 2026. So we're on page 54, Council.
All right, so there's another code that requires cities to hold a special vote if a budget is adopted that will raise more property tax dollars than the prior year budget. And while this tax rate may be lower than the previous year, it is possible to collect more property tax dollars based on our increase in property valuations in the area. Staff recommends the City Council approve the motion to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the budget. No specific verbiage is required for this section.
Thank you. Okay, council, we don't have to have a roll call vote on this, but I do need a motion.
I move to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the adopted annual budget for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Weatherby. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Morgan. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much, Molly.
I do have one question. It's not, why do we have to say property tax increase when it's not?
It's just
How
the
do we
way,
get that changed? People can't be that stupid.
you know, this happened in, what, 2020, Molly? Was that when they adopted all these new,
Well, and I can answer that question. They say because your property values may have increased, or you've added more property taxes to your roll, and you kept the same rate, that's why, in their minds, it's an increase.
Well, then why don't they
Tax
say it
dollars,
like that?
not tax
The
rate.
way they say it is stupid.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
because we would get no new revenue
Okay.
if we held
Now,
a property
but-
tax.
But if we
that-
said because of the increased
Yeah.
number, I mean, all they have to do is add some language. This, for people that aren't familiar with this is incredibly stupid.
It's incredibly complicated and confusing, and same thing happens with the ESDs, it happens with the county, it happens with the cities. We're all required to state it the same way, and yes, it is confusing.
And it's,
Impact our November ballot as well, because we're now required to say this is a tax increase to the street maintenance tax authorization.
It's-
right.
That's something to put in your letter that you send out to everybody.
That's a good idea.
Well, and they want the citizens to perceive that you're increasing their property taxes when you're not. I mean, they just want that perception.
Well, why don't they put the whole language in there? Again, I go back to that. Can you have some impact on that? Can we do anything on that
You can,
for clarification?
you can, go to the TML and
Why don't we do that? Because
And offer-
saying because of the increased number of homes and stuff, I understand that. But I'm saying for the majority of the citizens, this motion is very, very misleading.
it makes it look like you're increasing the
Exactly.
taxes. And I think they've designed it that way because they don't like you.
Well, I don't like that.
The legislature does not like you.
We just added it to our agenda for the next legislative session.
All right.
We can do that.
I'll be glad to go down there and speak, tell them, I have no problems calling them idiots.
No, but in TML liked your resolution last time, so I'm sure they'll. like
It
this
is
one.
confusing, so.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing on ordinance 2025-36, amending Chapter 14 zoning, Article 14.02. And this is addressing minimum lot sizes. I'm going to open a public hearing at 3:28. And Jeff, do you want to speak on this? We do have one person who signed up to speak on this, but I'd like to hear from you first.
Yes, this was brought forth, and we were looking at some of our tree ordinances, some of our
This is
issues we
minimum
had.
lot sizes.
It's what now?
This one's the minimum lot sizes.
Oh, I'm sorry, the minimum lot sizes, and we were looking at trying to come up with some average sizes as we were start working our subdivision ordinances together. We needed some back on this, and some of the work that we did was to get an average size instead of a single size lot. But as we go through this, it's not really clear and better defined. I think we have to have some other ordinances to come along with this. And so I'd like to pull this off and reconsider this one, and same with the second one too. To bring this back to the liaison for Public Works and really kind of work through this and make sure we have a really clear understanding for the council and the public before we come forwards with this ordinance, which will qualify what is an average lot in the subdivision going forwards.
Okay, I support that. But first I want to say, I want to say to the staff and to the Planning and Zoning Commission, they spent a lot of time on this. We recognize that. We appreciate it, and the work is not wasted. It's just maybe before we complete this public hearing, we want to have a little bit more input into it before we are ready to pass an ordinance on it. So we do have Mr. Overholtz signed up to speak on this. Would you like to say something? And again, yes, please, and again, 3 minutes, please.
I'd first like to ask, it does say minimum lot size. I know the term average is brought up, but is a minimum lot size being considered by the city for plating purposes?
Do you want, Roy, do you want to address
Roy,
that?
you want to speak to that?
Yes, sir. There are really two separate requirements, and you regulate it in two separate ways. It is very normal for every zoning ordinance to include a minimum lot size for a residential lot. The complication is based on the fact that there is a requirement in the state of Texas that before you create a nonconformity for a property owner, that you have to send them a letter, each individual property owner, send them a letter that says you're about to consider this in an ordinance. In this case, what we did was we had the GIS department help us generate some data. And what you have going on in Horseshoe Bay is even though you have some very large lots in all of your subdivisions, they also include some very small lots. So in order for us to comply with that and not send out all these letters, we needed a minimum lot size, and I'll give you an example of how that works and why it's still necessary. Any particular person that owns a lot can apply to subdivide a lot, and if it doesn't add a new lot to the inventory, in other words, let's say I have 3 lots, and they're all equal in size, and I want to change that and make one really large lot and 2 very tiny lots, okay? That goes to the staff, and there's nothing that the staff can do to prevent that unless you have a minimum lot size that this person has gone below. So that's the purpose of this ordinance. When we're talking about how to regulate density on an average basis, that gets back into what you put in your comprehensive plan and then have ordinances that create the force of law, if you will, to implement that comprehensive plan. That's when you start talking about concepts like average density. You enforce that with your future land use map and things like that. So these tools kind of all work together, but this one we think is important to stop what you don't realize they have the right to do without you ever seeing it, which is create very tiny lots. And I'll tell you what it really does, it creates very awkward driveways on those very tiny lots. And we fight constantly to keep that from being worse than you realize on the staff level. And so this is really a very standard part of any ordinance. We're disappointed that the minimum lot sizes, even in things like the trails where the lots are very, very large, there's a handful of very, very small lots, and that's what you're seeing in those numbers.
Okay. So we're gonna look at this more, and we will come back.
There's no urgency to doing this by itself.
The staff said that they wanted, that we needed some more additional tools to this ordinance. And so hopefully when this comes back, we'll see some of those additional tools coming at the same time so that we're doing this more a complete way.
Yeah.
And that's the intention, so.
Comprehensive plan and the new subdivision regs, those are by far the more important tools.
Does any, council, do you have any questions at this time on this? So what?
Rick may not be through.
Oh,
I'm not
Oh, I'm
finished.
sorry, Rick, I apologize.
I'd like to address whoever the committee is or the city employees that are doing this work, and the city council consider that, I'm just going to use Richter Ranch as an example. Silver Rock was a great example, and the trails of how the city upheld, the density and the size of the lots. I think it's headed in the right direction. And I know we have existing lots that are for patio homes, and they squeeze them in, and there's some in my neighborhood, and they look great. But I think any time that we're building next to a park or a preserve that belongs to the community, we really need to, maybe we can work in some language on density there. So these are lots that haven't been platted yet. So you wouldn't have to reach out to all the property owners like you mentioned on the new ones. This would be just a developer. But for instance, lots like that, a minimum of a quarter. I've looked at the literature from Richter Ranch, and they're bragging per se, and I look forward to when they have another public hearing. But they say that, well, our lots run from a quarter lot to quarter acre to half an acre. Well, if you look at it, I've looked at the plating. I haven't seen the most recent one, but the one that was presented to Mayor Kleinsmith, that's the only one I could find. More than half the lots were less than half an acre. They were like 0.18. Well, that starts looking like Gregg Ranch, and we're not Gregg Ranch or Horseshoe Bay. So I really think we need to consider, making that minimum at least a quarter, and then maybe making a special allowance if it's next to a park, whether it's a city park, a POA park, or a preserve.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, like I said, the normal way to do that, and I'll give you an example. I mean, the Richter's Ranch property is already zoned. And right now, the minimum lot size is 0, okay? So the idea that we made it equal to the smallest lot with a similar zoning district is an increase in the restrictions. If you want to start talking about compatibility and those sort of things, the best way to do that tool is through your comprehensive plan, your future land use map, where you are allowed to define average density and then create ordinances to give you the tools to make that comprehensive plan enforceable and say, you can't zone something or plat something that's not consistent with this map. And as Mr. Jones is aware, I'm feeding him more information than he probably wants to read as we go along.
My understanding,
we're working towards that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Roy, my understanding is that Richter Ranch is already in the development review process.
Right.
Correct. And they will come, another public hearing will come before us. But if they are, once they are already in the design review process, I don't believe this
They
particular
have
ordinance
what's
would
called
apply to
vested
them.
rights, yes, ma'am.
So,
I wouldn't speak to what they have and don't have because they're not, we're on the public hearing on this ordinance, and that's really a different topic.
okay,
So
I just don't want, okay.
And it's a complicated topic as well, too.
Yeah.
Okay, is there, council, do any of you have any questions for Roy?
No, except this,
Okay.
Rick, is why we're wondering whether today is the best day to do this or not.
So we're going to continue this 3:38. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. We're going to continue this public hearing until December the 9th. So we're not going to close the public hearing. We will not have to, the planning and zoning won't have to hear it again. We won't have to notice it again, but we will take this up again on December the 9th at the regular council meeting at that time.
And I would ask for a motion so that council can vote on that, so it's clear in the record. that
Okay,
the
all right.
council wants to continue it.
So the public hearing, would someone like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing until December the 9th?
I move that we continue the public hearing on ordinance 2025-36 to the December 9th council meeting.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem made the motion. Is there a second? Second from Councilmember Hosia. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. The public hearing remains open. Now we'll open the next public hearing on ordinance 2025-35, Article 3.09, tree protection is the topic of this public hearing, and we're opening this public hearing at 3:39. So, again, Jeff, do you want to speak to this?
Just kind of in a similar fashion, we see some things we need to plan for. If we're going to gather money for cutting trees down, I want to kind of have a good solid plan for that. And I really, that'll be in drainage and other landscape that we have out there. So I just don't really feel like I'm ready to push this one forward like I really need to.
You know, I will say, we do have a tree ordinance.
We do.
And I'll just remind the public that that tree ordinance, and this was a concern that the staff had by not, by the recommendation, the planning and zoning, that we delay the implementation of this 6 months. The tree ordinance it is against the ordinance, and it's illegal to cut down any tree on a lot without a building permit. And there is a fine, and it's a criminal offense. So I'll just remind the public that just because you think there might be a tree ordinance coming, you're gonna go out and clear cut, it's a criminal offense, and we will enforce that. So, council, do you have any questions?
I'm not gonna cut my trees.
Wouldn't recommend it.
Chainsaw.
Okay, so, again, I'd like a motion that we,
you-
hold this,
Did you open the public
I
hearing?
did at 3:39.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'd like a motion that we continue this public hearing until December the 9th.
I move we continue 2025, 35?
Yes.
To our December 9th council meeting.
Okay, I have a motion from the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a second from Councilmember Hosea. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the public hearing will remain open, and at that time, Mayor Jones will take this on. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is preliminary plat of Horseshoe Bay West, plat number 39.2, Lake Church at Horseshoe Bay.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to talk about that?
Well, this is a pretty routine matter. The one unusual aspect has to do with the configuration of the lot as it goes about that roundabout, if you will, that terminates the public dedication. It looks a little unusual, but, you know, that is kind of predicated on a requirement that there not be a dead-end dedication that's longer than 150 feet without a required turnaround. And the people that own the church, which was trying to accommodate the future access to the stone house, didn't want to put that turnaround on their property. And this is a way to make everything, you know, copacetic, so to speak, comply with all the ordinances. Now the stone house has frontage on that roundabout. And if they want to change that in the future, they're free to do that whenever they're ready to actually build something that complies. So it may look a little unusual, but this is how to make it safe and compliant.
Good. And there are the chairman of the building committee and the pastor, any of you want to say anything about this?
Well, we just want to record again our appreciation for Roy and the staff and all that they've done, city services, to make this process as easy as it can be, and for their thoroughness. It's been great to work with them.
Thank you, thank you.
And we're anxious to get started.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, yeah. Okay, council, do you have any questions? Okay, we're ready for a motion on this.
I move to approve proposed preliminary plat of Horseshoe Bay West, plat West 39.2, Lake Church of Horseshoe Bay as presented.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any questions? I didn't open the public hearing. No, I'm sorry, I closed one at 3, I left it open, but I don't think I opened this public hearing. Did I? I don't believe I did. So I apologize. Let's go back and we'll open the public hearing at 3:44. And if there's, we've already had the discussion. So, council, do you?
Anybody that wants to speak?
Yes, I've never known a pastor who wouldn't stand up and talk when he was given the opportunity. You're sure you don't? Okay, my apologies on that. Council, do you have any questions? Okay, so we did not vote, but we're going to close the public hearing at 3:44, and now I am ready for a motion on ordinance number 2025-34, which is there's a suggested language on page 70. I was confused by your motion anyway, Frank.
I'm reading, okay.
I think it's on page 70. Oh, no. I'm
No,
sorry,
it's a
I'm sorry.
different motion. I
Yeah.
was on the right
Yeah,
one.
you're on the right one. Okay, you want to make it again?
I gotta get to it now. I move that we approve what I already said. How about that? Does that work?
Okay, to approve the proposed preliminary plat of Horseshoe Bay West plat number W39.2 Lake Church of Horseshoe Bay is presented. So Councilmember Hosea made the motion and second from Mayor Pro Tem. Now, any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. With a lot of goofing up on the mayor's part, we got it done. So thank you very much.
We won't have you to kick around.
You won't have me to kick around anymore, that's right. Okay, let's move to ordinance 2025-34. Rezoning approximately .43 acres. I'll let you talk about this, Roy.
Yes, ma'am. This is near the.
Oh, wait, this is another public hearing, so this is, we're opening at 3:46. Thank you, Jeff.
This is a zoning change for some improvements to the existing racket club. There are more improvements that are planned that go outside the boundaries of this property, but these particular lots are where those townhouses that were demolished a few years ago used to be located, and they're still in that residential district. So this is basically just to incorporate that property into the same zoning as the rest of the racket club so they can proceed with these improvements.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public here who would like to comment on or ask a question about this rezone? That's the property at Free Reign and,
Yes, ma'am, that corner.
Yeah.
It's already part of a parking lot, but they're going to reconfigure the parking lot, build a new clubhouse, build some new courts, a bunch of little things like that.
Okay.
Looks pretty nice.
Council, any questions?
Yeah, I like this.
Close the public hearing at 3:47, and we are ready for a motion, which you might find on page 70.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-34 as presented.
That's a motion from Councilmember Hosea. Is there a second? Second from Councilmember Weatherby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Whew, through the public hearings. Now, let's move on to ordinance 2025-30, and this is amending the fee schedule for the city of Horseshoe Bay's Code of Ordinances. And you can talk about that, Jeff, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So every year in September, we come back to the council and talk about schedule of fees that we need to change for the next year. We've gone through this with the council in previous workshops. And we have gone through and changed everything that needed to be changed, which included a lot of fees that were associated with development services. And I'll let Roy touch on those in a minute, but we also had a water fee of 9% increase, and the sewer rate stayed flat. The water fees for taps went up by 15% due to cost, to make sure that we were recovering our cost. Same with sewer taps and same with sewer grinder pump fees, and those are generally pass-through costs to the customer that's building the house, but those did not affect the customers. The 9% did affect the customers, and let's see if I think we don't have a list of that, what the cost difference is. I'm sorry, I apologize. I thought we had that in here, but we do not.
This is what we discussed in our
Yes, what
budget
we,
work.
at the
both budget
workshop, yes,
workshops.
ma'am,
Okay.
yes. And this was the direction of the counselor to put that in there.
We can't read that.
I know, it's really hard to see that. But
And that's not
but
in our package.
there were fees, and I'll kind of let Roy kind of go through some of the fees on the development services on that, to kind of go through there. We changed some fees from deposits to straight fees because we were really kind of just dealing with money and turning around and giving it back. And so we kind of came up with the fees, and if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, sir. There were lots of goals here than when we analyzed this, but one of them was to eliminate what I would call the labor-intensive process that might have been just fine when we didn't have a very high permit volume, but that was just absolutely killing us now that we did. There are certain things that we outsource where it's important for us to recoup those costs. Major developments, for example, we don't have a city engineer. We have to hire that. When Dottie gets involved with a project, we'd like to recoup that cost. But for regular old building permits, that's just not really that difficult. There's plenty of data out there that tell us what it's going to cost us. So, you know, for regular building permits, we just wanted to convert to a straight fee, except to separate the fee into a review fee and a permit fee, so that we would quit incentivizing poor applications. Very commonly, we get applications that are not complete, and we have to review those over and over and over again, and we haven't even collected a nickel, and we're just basically subsidizing that, and more importantly, incentivizing those poor applications. It's to their advantage to not put much effort into it and place that burden on us. What this does is change that, create a review fee, and that every time it's turned down, you get to submit a new fee that's half as much again, so that we, from now on, we'll hopefully get better applications, and if we don't, that cost is placed where it belongs, and that's on the applicant's back. The chart that you can't really read very well is simply a request for us to go line item by line item and compare what we're doing. What it will show you, and I can print you out one, is that, believe it or not, it went down in as many cases as it went up. I'll give you an example. We were charging for manufactured homes based on the size of the house, when in fact the inspections, all that's all ready to go when it shows up on the site. The only thing we really inspect is the building of the front porch and hooking up of the electrical and the plumbing. So the idea that it would grow because of the size of the manufactured home was kind of unfair. So what we did was change it to a flat fee that's, quite frankly, much lower than what it is, which is more fair, because this is supposed to be reflective of the time we actually spend.
Right.
So that's what we did, and all our adjustments are in that category. One exception, we want accurate drawings, so we kind of lowered that on purpose, so that it encouraged people to submit. When they changed what they build out in the field, we want them to give us good records of that, so we changed that from, I think it was $100 down to $25, in hopes that would encourage them to give us those records, so that we have better records for the new owner of the house or whatever.
Oh.
But it's, the other ones are fairly minor. Some of the zoning applications in particular were not really reflective of the number of hours. So what we did was we looked at them individually, looked and see how much time we were spending. And when we were subsidizing that to an extent, we raised them. But it turned out that most of those increases were very nominal. They're not very large. And I'll make sure I distribute this for y'all so y'all can see it. It does not include the new fees. There are a lot of things that are in our ordinance for us to do and perform that, quite frankly, weren't listed in the fee schedule. And we, of course, corrected that. Some of them are a little bit strategic. For example, y'all have heard me talk about the need to start collecting for the impacts of these developments on future road improvements. In anticipation of ordinances doing that, we've included fees to cover that when we start requiring that. So you'll see some of those in there, like traffic impact analysis fees. Right now, we only require those for very, very large developments. It almost never happens, and they go directly to TxDOT. We want to change that. We want to look at every one of them and make sure they contribute their fair share.
But that's not included in this ordinance that we're looking at.
Well, the review fee is.
Fee
Oh,
is,
okay.
but it's not defined.
Right. So, obviously, if we're going to start reviewing those things, we'll hire a traffic consultant to do that work, and we need a fee to cover that. So,
All right.
So my my question here is, this is the start. You're gonna have more recommended fee schedule. I was surprised we didn't already have this.
Yeah, a lot of it we didn't have. Now, the other thing that's very different here, if you've ever looked at the development services fees, they're kind of just randomly thrown in there in a list. They're not organized in any way, shape, or form. One of the reasons you have so much red line from us is that we reorganized it. We put all the zoning fees together, called them zoning fees, subdivision fees.
Good.
So this little chart shows you the existing fees and what they changed to. Does not include the new fees.
Okay, good.
We'll make sure that you get a copy of this as well.
So, can I ask you a question? On the recommended motion that's in our packet, it refers to Exhibit A, but we also have Exhibit B and Exhibit C. Do we need to include all three of those in our motion?
The ordinance number encompasses the exhibits, so you just need to say the ordinance number.
It says, okay, so don't say, don't particularly say Appendix A fee schedule.
No,
It's all under the ordinance.
Okay, just the ordinance, okay.
it should be just to approve ordinance 2025-30 as presented by staff.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense to me. Does council understand what I'm saying? Y'all have,
I had a quick question. Yard light repair, right now it's $50 plus materials, and then it's gonna be removed from schedule.
Yeah, we don't actually do that work. I'm not sure who does, but it's definitely not us.
it's the
the
POA.
POA.
I thought I was gonna get a free
No,
ride.
no, that's not our,
Yeah, that's a holdover from, obviously, once upon a time we did it, but. hadn't done
well,
it.
the city requires a 911 number, but we don't require yard lights. That's something that the POA requires. Yeah, you do.
CCRs.
The POA does, yeah.
No, it's in the city ordinances. It's in the lighting ordinances.
The 911,
Oh, the 911 or the yard light?
the 911 number is the city ordinance.
The yard light is in chapter 3 as well.
Oh, is it?
It is required.
I didn't know that.
The city ordinance doesn't say we'll repair it, but
Well, we don't repair them. So, okay. Council,
we'll come fix yours.
do you, no.
I personally will come fix yours.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so with that clarification on the motion to be made on page 83, I need a motion.
I move to approve ordinance 2025-30 as presented by staff.
Thank you. From the Mayor Pro Tem, motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Morgan, is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, a consent agenda, is there some?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Summer Rock.
there is, okay.
I just wanted to say, part of that cleanup was really to try to clean some things and make things better organized and provide better cost of service to where it's supposed to be, so.
Jeff, I
Okay.
just have one question. Do
Yes.
you remember what the average increase, the 9%, what that reflects on the average customer bill? I remember that we had that on the workshop.
Molly, do you remember?
It was $1.48.
It was under $2, I think.
Yeah, it was $1.48, I think, a month, I think, yes, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move to item 9B, Summit Rock Public Improvement District payoff. Jeff?
Yes, ma'am. The city currently has an agreement with the Summit Rock PID that provided the city payment for city-provided utility infrastructure, including components of the water distribution, water treatment, wastewater transmission, and wastewater treatment systems. The agreement predates the city's written impact fees and served as the same purpose in compensating the cities for costs of existing facilities or in this case, also to build the 750,000-gallon elevated storage tanks in the Summit Rock property. Part of that was that we had an agreement with the original Summit Rock that we memorialized in a PID, and that agreement was for a total of $7.4 million worth of infrastructure, which included that $2 million for the elevated storage tank. That was to be paid from the Summit Rock PID's initial payments from the $2,800 collected from each lot owner through the years, the 15 years that they have that. So this agreement has been going on for many years, and we recently discussed with Mr. Jordan Jaffe about possibility of paying this off, because part of this has an interest rate of no less than 7%. And so it's costing them a considerable amount of money. It was good for us to have the money back to do, because we have a lot of capital projects coming up within the city, and so we just thought it was a good deal for both. So we just started having the discussion. It was agreed that we would get a repayment. So we started about a month ago going back through, and the original $5.4 million that we had on the books, we've received a certain amount of that money, and the remainder money between the interest that was owed on that ending balance and the principal was 3.147,066. And so we worked together with our legal counsel to create a ordinance an agreement to transfer the funds over. And also during that process, we would transfer over the administration of that Summit Rock PID from the city doing that, from internal staff, to a group that is called Municipal Cap, who does administrations, and they also do one for the Escondido PID, and they do a great job for that. And for us, it was a much burden for us to do that type of detailed work. And so we included that in the transfer over. There are 3 documents in your package. The first one is the Summit Rock District Improvement Payment Agreement, which is to pay back the $3.1 million to the city and close out that fee that is owed to the city for our infrastructure. And then the second one is a service agreement plan that the city has with Municap, which will administer the PID and provide annual assessments to the city that we would have to approve. And then the third one is the service plan update. I'm sorry, I got that out of order. And that is requirement of the state that every year there's a service plan update provided to the city to approve. And the last one is a Summit Rock custodial agreement that we just received today. And I think our attorney Dottie has approved that, if I'm mistaken, right?
No,
We're gonna look at this tomorrow, and then we will provide it to Jordan after that with the changes, if we have any changes on that.
And that's going to be on the next agenda.
And so it'll be on October agenda for that custodial
Okay, for this
agreement.
custodial agreement.
So what we're looking to do is to close this out. We will bring that custodial agreement because we did not have that ready for this council meeting. We thought we would, but we had to go through some hoops to get that. But the other 3 agreements, we think those are good. And if there is anything that comes back out of the agreements, is that there are in the hands of Mr. Jordan Jaffe, and he's working through that. But we don't think there will be any, but if there are, we will bring that back in October for revisions to that now.
Okay, so council, this is, I think you know what's going on with this. The city has to remain involved because of the fact that it requires involvement of municipality, but we're not, when you said an assessment on the city, there are no assessments on the city. This
No.
is all a pass-through.
Yes.
So,
Yes, yeah, the PID is a pass-through basically to the developer. The only thing with us, we had put in like a impact fee. When you buy into the city, you buy into the water plant, the wastewater plant, the existing infrastructure. All developers will do this. But back in the day when we did this, when we first became a city, it was about 3 years in, before we had impact fees, this was our way to secure that money through a PID payment back to us. So we were assigned the first $7.4 million of the PID assessment.
okay. I'm telling you, as the financial liaison, when I was on the council, this is probably the thing that the finance department dislikes the most. And so I think we'll be very happy to have this thing in somebody else's hands with Municap. Council, do you have any questions?
If there's a hiccup on the custodial agreement, it will not affect the rest of the agreement.
Roddy, I don't think it will. I think it'll be just a
No.
revision, no.
The county collects the PID assessments on the tax bill, and we're working on a resolution for the county to pay those collections directly to the trustee. That's what this agreement doesn't have, so we're working on that, so that it's going to take the city out of receiving the money from the county and then having to pay it to the trustee.
Basically takes us out of the steps. Before, we were going to have to invest it in our bank accounts through our policy and then turn around and write a check out. So we were able to do it this way with agreement of the county.
Any further questions? Okay, so we're ready for a motion.
I move to approve the 3 enclosed documents as presented by staff and accept the final payment of $3,147,066.74 for the City of Summit Rock PID related infrastructure payoff.
I have a motion from Councilmember Morgan. Is there a second? Second from Councilmember Waddell. Any questions or further discussion?
When do we get the check?
Well, once we get the custodial agreement hammered out and bring that back in October, then we'll close out.
Okay.
Check's not in the mail then.
No. I imagine they'll not they won't mail that one. Okay, council, if there are no further questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Wait, I'm sorry,
I
you
said
said aye, okay. Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Jeff. Now we're ready for the consent agenda. And council, is there anything on the consent agenda that you would like to have removed? Okay, then is there a motion to pass the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Weatherby. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, monthly reports. You again.
Yes, ma'am. First, I'd like to recognize Matt Myers, who worked for Waste Management, who worked with us on the extension of that contract that y'all just approved. I think that Waste Management does a great job. They had a few hiccups. They fixed those hiccups, and we looked at our extension of contract, and we really felt like they were a good, solid company and worked with us very well. So I wanted to recognize him being here for
Thank you
that.
for being here.
Okay. And then, is there any committee things that you have that you know of?
I was gonna, you want me to,
It's
yeah, we've
just-
got that on here first. Council liaison, do any of you have anything from your committees that you want to bring up? Do y'all want to talk about the 20th anniversary celebration committee at all?
Just got back from Japan, what'd they say?
The 20th anniversary celebration is still on. I'm excited to say that we have a number of dignitaries who have RSVP'd that they are either going to be here or they're going to send an emissary in their honor, in their place. And we've got a full slate of vendors, and I believe we've collected, if I'm not mistaken, over $45,000 towards the trail itself from donations in addition to that. So, thank you much.
And
October 25th.
just want, not only the committee heads here and the other people serving with them, but Adrian Maple over there and Cindy Sharp have worked very hard and continue to work very hard on this. And I think it's just going to be awesome. I mean, how many vendors did you say are there?
42?
40 or so?
Standing room on, I mean, it's a wait list
yeah.
right now.
It's just going to, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're
We'll
looking
have,
forward to
we'll
that.
have music, the 43 vendors, a special program, a presentation of flags and things to former mayors. And it's going to be quite the experience. I think each one of the vendors donated something of some value that instead of collecting a fee, they provide something for the folks to come in and get selected for prizes, drawings.
We'll have a raffle, okay?
And so, yeah, it's going to be a great event.
And we've got transportation and
Yes,
carts
yes.
and buses and so forth.
That's right, yes.
So,
To the site, yes. We'll have a lot more in the newspaper coming up pretty quick, but it's coming together very, very nicely.
Good, great, thank you,
I
okay.
have one thing.
Yes.
Cody, why don't you give an update on, specifically, the good thing is we didn't lose, no customers lost water, but there was some major problems discovered.
Yeah, it was a trying day, Sunday and Monday for our operations. We ran into a couple of problems with boulders and electrical lines right next to our water pipe, but like Frank said, we never lost pressure in the towers whatsoever, not even at any point were we even close to that. Never lost any water at any homes. I will say yesterday when we did the official tie-in and get everything repaired, a couple homes around the street probably lost pressure a little bit, but that was about it. That was a minor hiccup out of a major event, so
Yeah,
everything
good
turned
job.
out good.
Explain the PEC issue.
Essentially, the way these things were laid back in the day, and Jeff referred to this to me, this is a common thing he's seen since he's been here, is it was laid, I'm assuming, probably mid to late 70s. Back then, they didn't regulate things the way they do now. We had two 4-inch PEC electric lines laid right next to our water main, about 1-inch gap on both sides. The safety of my operators became a major thing. It had to get the veterans to come up from Houston to do a line stop, had to get with PEC in order to turn that power off, so we were able to cut our pipe out with our safety of our guys intact. So that's what caused a little bit of the delay.
Wow.
Not to mention there was boulders laying
Yes.
right on top of the rock that caused the line to break in the first place.
Yes.
So there was, basically shoved a lot of things back in the ditch, unfortunately, and eventually they will wear back and forth on the pipe, and that's what caused the break. But it's not the first time in that area we've had a leak, but it's probably been a good 20 years since we've had one there. Probably won't be our last.
The point I want to make out of that is not only we were able to do that, but I'm sure Cody and his group is going to find additional issues throughout that same area.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's something we lived with for a long time. It's the first time these guys had to deal with that. Unfortunately, I've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's happened many, many times, many places. And we just know going into it that when you're busting around those lines that you can't take anything for granted.
Was this part of the, this was not related to the installation of the new pipe going from Central up to up
No.
to Summit, is, okay,
No, ma'am. Isolated incident.
okay, so, good, okay.
That's it.
Thank-
Thank you, thank you for fixing it. Jeff, what else?
I wanted Tim to talk a little bit about his street program and kind of where he is. Tim, you want to touch base on that?
So, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We completed the interior roads and the seal coating for this year. We have Bay West Boulevard left. So in front of y'all, I put a map. We are going to attempt, give it our best effort to do Bay West Boulevard at night. If we do it during the day, it's going to be approximately 12 to 14 days. We think we can do it at night in 6 days, or 6 nights. So that's our next project. We're going to start that October 1st through the 8th. We're not going to work on Friday nights, but we will come back on a Sunday night. You know, in case Cap Rock Clubhouse has anything going on, we'll stay out of their way. So, you know, we did a test run on Hello, which is a street off of Bay West Boulevard, and it drives beautifully. So we don't anticipate any issues.
Okay, and whenever you're doing one side of Bay West Boulevard, the other side will remain open, is
Yes,
that-
ma'am.
is that
So
right?
we're going to do from Applehead Island up to Florentine, halfway through that intersection, because that's so narrow, it's only 2 lanes. We're going to do that all at one time. And then when we come down from Cap Rock to 2147, we'll do half of we'll do the inside lane one night, we'll do the outside 2 days later, or the outgoing. So, you
So,
know,
on this map, this part right up here, is that Applehead? No.
The red
No,
is,
that's Nicola Gay. Okay, so everybody can still get to their homes, alternate routes.
So they'll be able to get off the island by going up Fault Line.
Okay,
So they'll be able to get out. The only people that are going to be affected are people that actually live on the boulevard or
the streets that are off of the boulevard on on the night that we're doing that side. So I plan on starting tomorrow again, going right back to what we just did and passing out maps and explaining to people, you know, unfortunately, after 8 o'clock at night, you'll have to stay home. Or,
Horseshoe Bay midnight is 9 o'clock, so this should not be an issue.
I'm not anticipating it being an issue. I mean, we had many bunco games, luncheons, doctor's appointments, hair appointments that
Yeah,
we navigated
that won't be
around.
a problem. What day of the
Hopefully.
week are the 7th and the 8th?
I'm sorry?
What day of the week is the 7th and the 8th?
I'd have to get my little calendar.
I know what it is. I'm just curious. Huh? Okay, so it's not the weekend then, Friday. Okay. All right, well, I think that's a great idea, Tim.
We're,
And we'll see how it works, and hopefully people appreciate that extra effort you're going to.
hopefully.
I'd like to say y'all did a really good job.
Unbelievable job so far.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. And the road reconstruction project is coming along nicely. We shifted from the south area out to west. We're making progress and trying to keep the fire department busy with a little help from our chop saws, but it's coming along nicely.
A little help from your
y'all have,
butt.
we started the fire.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, but they put it out.
Cutting steel, yeah. That,
Well, thank you. And, you know, one thing that I know we've discussed, and I do recommend next year, I do think that in the coming year, we need to go back and look again at our policy. Because we've had this, what is it, 7 houses per mile, 12 houses?
15 houses per mile.
15 houses per mile. We've had that a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
And there are some streets, some homes, some residents that have been waiting a very long time. And so I think it's time that we go back and reevaluate that policy and see if we need to make some changes and improvements that make it fair to those
I'm all
people
for
that
it,
have been
ma'am.
waiting a long time. And I know you have a great feel for that, so
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you'll have some good
Look forward to
suggestions.
working with you, and we'll get it resolved.
Yep, good.
Thank y'all. Do y'all have any other questions?
Tim, you're not gonna blast, but just Tuesday nights, right?
Tuesday nights, we're gonna set off the dynamite.
Yeah, good. Okay, just Tuesday nights.
This guy,
No,
No
there's
blast, no blast zone.
Okay, Jeff?
Only one other thing, and that is our town hall next Thursday night, or Thursday evening, and Thursday, was it 3 o'clock? Isn't that right? 3 o'clock? 3 to 5? Yeah.
What you told me.
3 to 5, I'm sorry, got too many dates in my head, but, you know, we will have, like we have every year, we'll have all of our vendors there, they'll have gifts and things to give out. They'll be there for anybody to talk about anything within the city. We'll have a program, we'll talk about the accomplishments that we had this last year, and then we'll also get public input on some of our initiatives that we're pushing in our comprehensive plan. So we definitely want a lot of people there to give us some public input on that. So,
We're going to have our department heads there, not our
yes, ma'am.
vendors.
Department heads, council members, city manager, mayor.
And that's the 25th.
Yes.
Yeah, it's next Thursday.
Okay.
And it'll be at Quail Point this time.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Okay. I would like for Jason, if you wouldn't mind, to give the council a heads up on what's going on with the deer trapping, because I know that's coming up probably before the next council meeting.
So currently, we have 4 traps that are set up and ready to go. We've applied for the permit. We're just waiting to get that back from the state. We anticipate that we'll begin on October 1st.
Okay. And how often will you move the pins around, Jason, or just kind of depending on?
I think it just depends on what we're catching. We're getting limited in the areas that we can trap because they're building out, but I feel pretty confident that most of the traps are in a good place that we can get plenty of deer trapped.
So, you know, just wanted y'all to know this was coming. You know, it's the more humane plan that we did last year, where they catch them in a pen and our staff takes them down to Johnson City or San Antonio?
Johnson City.
Johnson City. So, okay, thank you very much. Do y'all have any questions for
What's your
Jason?
target this year again?
350?
So are we already starting over? Like, are we through as last year and starting this year?
Yeah, it'll go from October to the end of March, like it did last year. Last year, we didn't get to trap in October because we hadn't received the traps yet, so we're pretty excited to see what October does this year. Yes.
Plenty of 'em.
Okay. Is there, do you have anything else?
That's it, ma'am.
Okay, then, we are going, it's 4:19 and the council,
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Before you're about to adjourn?
I'm about to move into executive session.
Something that Frank mentioned about the wording of the tax rate, you know, it shows like, looks like it's an increase when it's not. And I mentioned to you that I think it'd be good to put in your letter that goes in the Beacon, that in bold print, that this is what's gonna happen, but this is what it means, or you're gonna get flooded with phone calls.
All we have to do is add that explanation that Dottie said, then it makes sense. But the way it's written is a disaster.
But we can't do anything about it
I know
right now.
that.
Well, it's been public, let me just say, I mean, I have no objection to doing that. It's kind of, in my view, it's mustard after the meal this year because we just passed the ordinance, and it's been in the paper, it's been published. And it's been published that it was an increase in the tax rate, and I haven't been flooded by any, I think everybody's used to it, and they realize that it makes no sense, and, I haven't decided what I'm gonna write, but if I'm desperate, I might bring that in.
So I'm writing up some stuff for you for the November ballot for the street maintenance, because it's gonna have to say that too, so we're gonna wanna push out a bunch of information
Okay,
about, that's not what it is.
right, okay, all right, so we will address that. Thank you very much, Bo. Okay, so it's 4:21. The council is going to move into executive session for the annual evaluation of the city manager under personnel matters, Texas Government Code 551.074, and a petition for release of 332.81 acres from the extraterritorial jurisdiction by Horseshoe Bay Resort Destinations LLC, and that is under Texas Government Code 551.071. So we will not take any action in executive session. If there's any action to be taken, it'll be after the executive session. But unfortunately, you guys can't stay in the chambers for that, so, yes.